Okay, so this is the three main shapes you can use in the defensive press. When you're trying to get back the ball, you're attacking the goal as the arrow shows. And the first is 4-3-3. As you can see how the different lines line up: forwards, midfield, defense. Um, we may switch if we really press in a team. We may switch to a four, correction, a 3-4-3. So it will look something like this. Basically, the players just covering the gaps between the people. That's when we either playing against a weak opponent, or we pressing because we need goals or whatever. We play with a three forwards, four midfield, three backs, or we may have to end up playing with a 4-4-2. And if we do, it can look something like this. So you got um, two forwards, four midfield, and four backs. This is our press in a situation where we're playing against a team that is playing 4-3-3. Um, we're basically mimicking it, playing 4-3-3 ourselves. So the opposing team has four backs, right? We're countering that with three forwards. And what we're doing basically is um, this forward is responsible for this back, right? And this forward is responsible for this back. And this forward is responsible for both of these backs. What that allows us to do, because one person here is responsible for two, it allows us to play with a sweeper free, not having to mark anybody. And if you could see, everybody else, the three midfielders are marking man to man, and the three backs, except for the sweeper, are marking man to man as well. So this would be how we would press a team that's playing 4-3-3. You're basically trying to get them to make a pass over to a corner. So in this situation, you'd like them to make this pass. Then the pressure goes on. This forward cut off the pass back, and this forward would tuck into the middle to basically stop anything from getting through these holes here. And everybody else marking tight man to man, waiting for this pressure to get really close. Once the pressure gets close and this person gets their eyes down, then you could probably step off a little bit, step in front of your player and so on. Step in front here so that any passes here or this direction, you're in a position to make an intercept and then counter attack. If for instance, when the pressure goes here, this person starts to hold the ball long and so on, this forward could continue his run and help to double up, take away the ball again, and counter attack. Okay, as you can see here, we are set up in a 4-3-3 against Puerto Rico's 4-3-3. Puerto Rico's four backs are circled in yellow, our three forwards are circled in red, and everybody else marking tight man to man is circled in green. The sweeper is actually caught in the traffic between where those two green circles intersect. Okay, what we can see here is after the central defender makes a pass into the midfield, the person marking their midfielder does a really good job of bothering them, getting the eyes down, and then slip it through, drops off initially to make sure he's covering the right back, and then he times his double up perfectly to turn over the ball and start the counter attack. Now, if say for instance the opposition decides to dissolve one of the defenders and send them into the attack, and change from a 4 at the back to 3 at the back, then we would have to adjust. So just like before when we said who is responsible for who, if one goes forward into the midfield, then obviously this forward would have to trail them and become the person marking them man to man. If If two or three decide to go forward, then it's the center forward's responsibility to go with them. And if four goes forward, obviously it's this person's responsibility to go with them. Now, after they've moved into three at the back. So say for instance four run forward into the midfield, then this forward will have to go with them, and then they change the shape a bit um, to make a three back. It's important that these two forwards um, drop to a point where they could see these two backs here, right? You don't want to be in line with those two backs because then they would get away easier. And in this situation, you kind of want to influence where the ball goes, so you might shift across here a little bit because we want it to go to our strong side. And after the pass is made, this forward would have to drop off a bit and then advance the pressure, whilst the other forward drifts into the um, middle of the pitch. Just act as a free person, stopping direct passes straight across and forcing them to go backwards. And again, once the pressure gets close, the person with the ball get the eye down, then you expect everybody to kind of step in front, um, so that any passes come down the line or close by, you're there to make an interception and then counter attack.
This is where Jamaica's more or less changed their shape to three at the back. Their three backs are circled in yellow, and we've now changed our shape to 4-4-2. So our two forwards are in red, and everybody else is either circled in green or not on the screen. Now, as you can see, one of our forwards is directly in front of the free hit, and the other one's threatening the pass to their right back. As soon as the pass is made to their left back, the centre forward pressures, channels them down the line, and then Ryan times the double up perfectly to create the turnover.
If for some reason we're down goals and we're trying to press the opposition, or we've seen that the opposition has a very weak aerial, and we decide to be more aggressive with our press, then it would be more of a zone press, where the three forwards kind of doing the same thing they were doing before, right? But now the midfield is not marking man to man. The midfield just playing the gaps between the three forwards. So this midfielder will be playing this gap. Um, this midfielder this midfielder here covering this gap. Um, this midfielder covering this gap, and so on and so forth. Because you're playing more of a zone system. Now, if anybody comes into these gaps like that, then you would expect the person responsible for the gap to push up on them. So you basically you're zoning, but anybody comes into your zone, you push up and mark them. And from this system here, we're looking to turn over the ball as quickly as possible, counter attack, and score goals to get back into the game, or just to get up our goal difference. What's important to remember here is that because we play in zone and we push forward our top seven players, that our backs, including the sweeper, are left in man-to-man situations here. So anytime this ball gets through and gets down to any one of these players, is really important everybody works back, because our backs are isolated in 1v1 situations, which is not a good thing.
This is our 3-4-3 zone press against Panama because we thought they had a weak aerial. All our players are circled in red, and you can see the three distinct lines: three forwards, four midfield, and three backs playing zone. In this example, the zone press was executed almost perfectly. Midfield making the interception, and then a quick counter attack, which leads to a goal.
What's important to remember, no matter which press we're using, what shape we're defending in, um, is that the sweeper must always be on the hot line, and the hot line is a line drawn straight from the ball to the middle of the goal. Um, and the sweeper must always be on that line to make interceptions, because that is the most direct line to the goal. So if the ball changes, the sweeper gotta change. And just stay on the hot line, so you stop the most dangerous pass, which is the direct pass. Also, if at any point the ball gets into the midfield, the midfielders are trying to contain and delay until help comes. Now, help can come from anywhere. The closest forward, who would probably be free, would be ideal. However, if the forwards are far away and the midfielder is doing his job, getting the player's head down and so on, then a midfielder that is marking someone else can drift off and help to double up and so on. But you have to ensure that the opponent's eyes are down and they're not focused on making passes. Because if they do, if you choose the wrong time to come, then it would be an easy layoff, and now this person is unaccounted for. So just ensure that it's the right time, the opponent's eyes are down, they're being bothered by the person marking them, and then you can drift off and help to double up.